So for our fourth evaluation question, we were asked who would be the audience for your media product. Now, it's very important when creating a product to get the target audience right first before you actually start making the film, because you have to create and film the production specifically to who you're aiming it for. For example, as I've used before, there would be no point creating a horror film for children, for little children, that like to watch Disney and Frozen and all that kind of stuff. There would just be no point. So instead, you have to think of the plot of your film and base that on your target audience. Now, this is also very important with age ratings. For example, you can only have certain aspects of violence, sexual scenes, and things like that within certain age ranges. I think, and this also involves swearing and sort of graphical content. For example, at a 15 rated, you're starting to allow a bit more violence, a bit more blood, some slight language, slight use of offensive language. But it's important that you get all that right before actually making your film to decide how graphical and intense your film can be to who you're specifically creating it for. Okay, so target audience was quite difficult to think of because actually within the sequence that we did film, you don't really relate to any of the characters that much. So it's kind of hard to get a feel for, who would like this character, who would be attracted to them, who would be able to relate to them. But the fact that the film is a crime film on its own suggests that obviously we can wipe out young age ranges from the age of, I'd say, probably 15 below. We can wipe them out straight away. So, because obviously crime, you have to think quite a lot about the plot, which is what we want from our film. You'll have to think about what's going on and sort of have to engage and use your brain. So that kind of wiped out the easy sort of more enjoyment viewers straight away, since you have to think about what's actually going on. So that left us with a planned age rating of 15, since we wanted to have violence, and there was absolutely no point of creating it for anyone under this age. But we felt that we didn't want the film to be just based around violence. So instead of having a high age rating such as 18, we left it at 15 just to be able to keep the audience range wider, however not have silly amounts of violence, which would just be unnecessary and I think just ruin the film. So generally what we intended our target audience to be was anywhere from the age around 20 to probably about 35, and typically this would probably be a male target audience because both the protagonist and the victim and the murderer and all the heroes are male characters, and generally it'd be quite a deep sort of, again, quite a violent film. So we felt that generally, stereotypically, males are more attracted to this type of genre, and so we went for about the age of 20 to 35 in males. Although again, anyone could watch this film, obviously if they're over 15, because that's the age rating, because there are different characters you can relate to, and there will be. For example, we plan to have if we was making the rest of the film, there'd be a flashback of a female character, which obviously females would be able to relate to more. But specifically for the part that we've made, there's more of a definite male dominance within this film. So male characters will be able to relate to that more. After looking at, after showing the clip to some target audience, not target audience, to showing the clip to a group that gave us feedback on it, which I'll show in a minute, they seemed to relate well to the film. They seemed to be able to grasp it. One of our concerns was that the plot would be too confusing. But most of the people we showed it to were around the age of 17 in this video, which you'll see in a minute. And they all seem to follow the plot quite well. So even though we're aiming it at especially 20-year-olds and upwards, I believe that younger people could enjoy this as well, because they can still follow the plot, which is good for us, because wider audience, more views, more sales. Specifically towards the music, there's quite a bit of, obviously because music is used a lot now in media to attract a certain audience. For example, you have films like Step Up and all those dance films and theatrical musicals you have specifically now, such as Les Mis, which was a musical. We didn't feel that there was any need for any specific target audience related to the music, because the music was just simple. It just related to the film and not to the target audience. But that is quite a big aspect of media productions nowadays, but we didn't feel it was important in ours as much. As for the older generation, I feel that they would also be able to relate to our film, but I just didn't think that specifically the more thriller action side of our film would relate to them, because they quite like to have a sort of relaxed sort of experience again, instead of just having to constantly be thinking about all this. So the older generation, we're talking probably, 60s up, probably wouldn't be interested in our film anyway. So basically going for a mid-age male audience. So when playing the video, we did do an initial target audience video, which we based our ideas around, which gave us the idea of how much violence to add and things like that. But we did a target audience after the final production was made, just to see what people think of it and whether they could engage like we expected them to, and if there's anything that we could change. So here it is now.
Okay, so now you've watched the video. After watching it, on a scale of 1 to 10, how engaging did you find the content? So how interesting was it?
8.5.
8.5? Any more answers on that?
Yeah.
Alright.
Any reasons why? Any
I
particular?
thought the sound effects on that were really good.
Okay.
Good.
I thought the contrast and lights were actually really grasping, rather than just having it all one shade. There was a lot of contrast, and your running scene was actually pretty believable with the GoPro.
Okay. How well did you understand the plot of the video? Did you find it easy to follow, or was it difficult to understand?
I reckon I could follow.
Angel?
Easy to follow.
Easy to follow? Any more answers on that?
Yeah.
No?
Is there anything we could have changed to make it more understandable?
No, not really.
Okay.
Are the conventions portrayed typically associated with crime films? Do you feel they worked effectively? So obviously we did crime film, and you had sort of black clothing, dark lighting, sort of candles, low lighting conditions, things like that. Do you think that worked well?
I think it gave it an air of mystery, which worked really well, because you had to actually get engaged to understand it, so it would engage the audience a lot more than it was.
Okay. Easy. Would you be interested in watching the rest of the film after seeing this intro?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you feel you could relate to the characters? So did you feel sorry? Did you feel worried? Did you feel anything like that? Any emotions towards any characters?
I think more so for you than Dave, because you saw very little of Dave aside from like a few facial things. Aside from that, not 100%. So
Okay.
Okay. Could you suggest any improvements for the video?
Haven't really seen.
What?
Haven't seen.
That's not in it.
Maybe elaborate on the characters a bit more, like
Yeah.
what
Character
their
progression.
backgrounds
Yeah.
and that. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Speed up some of the scenes.
Okay.
So generally, as an audience, do you feel we addressed the target audience well? And our target audience was your age group and above.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any way we could have done it better, or no?
No, not really. It was pretty spot on.
Okay, that's it.
So as you can see there, we had generally some very positive feedback. We found from that target audience that the video and the plot was very understandable to them, although the characters could have been elaborated on a little bit more. Get my words out. However, this is something that we would do in the rest of the film. We got about an 8 rating for the plot and how well they understood it and how engaging it was, which is really good to hear, because obviously if our audience can't be engaged, then there'd be no point in making the film, because they just won't enjoy it. So generally I'm quite happy with how well we met the aims of our target audience, and they seemed to enjoy the film. And every single person we asked that watched this introduction would be interested in watching the rest of the film. So we've obviously done something right.